In our today's talk, as the title reflects, we will try to understand what is interviewing skill, why is it important, and why most of the students or candidates fail in interviews, and how an interview can be made successful. These 4 areas will be discussed today. Interview is a skill, interview is an art, interview is a science, but it's not a rocket science. Why interviewing skill is important? This is very important to understand. As you know, almost 450,000 students are graduated every year from Pakistan's public sector and private sector universities. And according to surveys and researches, 80 to 90% these graduates apply for jobs. It means a huge bulk of graduates try to apply for jobs and they appear in interviews. And definitely this is a desperate need to be polished in this specific area. And as you know, most of the graduates during their university period, they never expose themselves to this kind of activity, which becomes a problematic scenario in their practical lives. The crucial and turning point of a graduate, soon after having done your degrees, you come across a challenge, that is your interview for your jobs. Now, question arises, what is interview? Interview is a structured conversation between interviewer and interviewee. Specific questions are planned and they ask for the organization by the interviewers. During interview, interviewer try to evaluate your personality, your potential, your talent, your learning skills, your other potentials, your academic strengths, your intellectual depth, above all, your organizational behavior, to what extent you are mature and responsible to take up the assignments if you are hired for an organization. And you see here, this is a turning point where most of the candidates or graduates in their interviews, they run into disaster. They fail their interviews because of lack of preparation, lack of preparing their mock interviews. They have never give it a serious thought that after our degree, we have to face this challenge. So that is the reason they cannot properly address the answers to the questions made by the interviewers for their organizations. That is the reason they run into nervousness, confused because of shyness, hesitation, and the lack of appropriate preparation for that program. And above all, another general misconception that between interviewer and interviewee, as interviewee, we always consider ourselves on a weak wicket, and they on a strong wicket, very strong people, highly professionals, and we consider them the creation of a celestial spheres and ourselves a creature of terrestrial spheres, which is a wrong notion. You are young, in an age bracket of 20 to 25. You are powerful people. You have the capacity to carry forward a candle ahead. And as a young professional, you are dealing with the interview. This, psychologically, you have to understand you are most powerful person. In order to develop that power or that confidence, what do we do? Again, an interesting question arises. One very intelligent person said, be confident and no accident. It's a self-explanatory statement, right? Now, another question arises, how do we develop this confidence? How we can instill or inculcate this culture or state of mind in our own selves, right? Apart from the degree, we have to develop a certain skills to polish the personality. To my understanding, I strongly believe in a self-belief system. It's a belief system basically. Belief in your knowledge, belief in your skills, belief in your learnings, belief in your personalities, because belief does miracles. Now, I would like to share one very interesting example about the belief system, because it's very important to understand a self-respect. Respecting ourselves is very important. That is the reason we polish ourselves. The great boxer Muhammad Ali Kilay, have you heard his name before? He was a great boxer of all times. Some of you might have experienced his fights in the ring as well. He has been, you see, a great fighter and used to win all the great matches. While one journalist asked him, "Sir, tell us, what is the secret behind that you always win the matches while your opponents are stronger than you, faster than you, mightier than you, more muscular than you, taller than you? How do you win it?" Do you know what Muhammad Ali Kilay replied? There was a very simple answer to this entire question. That was, my unshakable will. Right? So unshakable will means ghair mutazalzal jazba, that you see, by hook or by crook, I have to win this match. So, and he has been winning it. Same is the case. I don't mean that you all should go to the ring and fight like Muhammad Ali Kilay. No, definitely you, after your degrees, definitely you all have to think that you have to face this kind of a challenge. Whatever the knowledge you have crammed, Alhamdulillah, during your 8 semesters, it's not a small period. It's a very marathon period. You see, during this period, you have been interacting in association with your professors and learned a lots of books and course outline, and conceptually you are very clear. Content-wise, you are very powerful. But the problematic area, that is that how to articulate that knowledge and explain it in a sequential order. That reflects the most important thing. And these interviewers or employers always look for such people who have this capacity or capability, and he or she is the picked from the lot, right? So besides it, these interviewers in a panel, they ask another very interesting and a tricky question. You see, that is, you see, okay, tell us about your strengths and weaknesses, right? As far as strengths are concerned, you see, as you have written in your CV, curriculum vitae, that these are my strengths. There might be a checklist, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. you can tell them. But the more important and crucial thing is that what you will talk about your weaknesses. Okay? See, one thing we have to understand, that is, perfection is nowhere except divine divinity. Right? Humankind is a blend of weaknesses and strengths. Keeping this natural order in mind, in view, we have to accept our weaknesses as well. Right? And what I have experienced during these last 3 decades period, that there I have identified 3 major traits, which are, I call it the venomous traits, the killer habits, which are the common issues of every graduate or students, whether it's college life or university life. What these 3 traits are, and until and unless we overpower it, we would be suffering badly. Number 1, drabness or lethargicness or carelessness, casual style. You see, procrastination, putting things for tomorrow. If you are given an assignment or task, okay, I will do it tomorrow. And that tomorrow will never end. Right? So, let me give you an example, particularly most of the female students who are sitting in this hall might experience that in the kitchens, you definitely go and peel off onions. When you peel off onions, you find layer after layers and layers after layers, and finally you are left with tears. Understand? Because you don't find anything in your hand. This problem happens with the students or the graduates who are having this kind of approach or attitude. Right? So you should try to think on these lines. Second and more dangerous trait is amorphousness or directionlessness. For understanding this directionlessness or amorphousness, let me give you another interesting example. You might be knowing about William Stephen Hawking, who was a great physicist. What he says, about this directionlessness. The biggest enemy of knowledge is not ignorance, it's illusions of the knowledge. Misunderstanding is a mirage, or it is called a fata morgana, right? He says, one interesting example of this fata morgana or illusion is, do you know about Ptolemy was a big astronomer. He presented a theory and he said, Earth, our planet Earth, is the center of entire universe and our solar system as well. And the entire universe is revolving around it, which was taught for decades after decades in the European universities. While this was an illusion, this was a misconception, misunderstanding. While later on, great astronomer or mathematician Copernicus rectified it anyhow. So you have to understand the track where you are moving ahead, whether it's going to the right direction and destination or taking us to somewhere else. This is again very important thing. Third and most serious or heinous trait is heedlessness or forgetfulness. This is an inborn deficiency. Sometimes childbirth issues, which we call, even in your psychology you might study that ADHD, attention deficit hyperactive disorder students, which have been very problematic, whether it's a child time life or as a grown up life. You see, you will have to overpower it. It's a shortage of concentration. Sometimes medical term is used for it, amnestic syndrome, or loss of memory. When you ask somebody, have you done this job? Oh, sorry, I forgot. This is not an excuse. This is a lame excuse. And such people, indeed, they won't be able to become good citizens or as successful professionals in their lives. So, being students, these three areas are essentially important to give it a serious thought, and I hope you will review yourself and your personality again. Thank you very much.